Welcome back to Canada's Boxing Channel, and it's our regular Sunday show. Bob and Jamie talk boxing. Only one session today, unfortunately. Both Jamie and I have scheduling conflicts, so we'll jump straight in. Jamie, how the heck are you this morning?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. I've had my ears lowered, so my head's a lot cooler today. But yeah, I'm happy. Always good to speak to you about boxing, and there's a bit to cover it now. We didn't think we
Yeah,
was going to come on, did we? Because there
well,
wasn't much going on, but
yeah, you're absolutely right. When we were talking the other day, it looked a little sparse, but there's been a lot of nonsense. Oh, you're you're getting a beer. Good man. It's a little it's
Sunday,
a little early for me to start. It's only 9 o'clock in the morning, but I'll have a
five
water.
here. Yeah, there you go.
um, there's been a lot of nonsense going on in the nutty stuff. One of the things that I think is kind of nutty is the return of Deontay Wilder. But I saw this morning some even more interesting breaking news that Alex Krassyuk and Olexander Usyk appear to have parted ways, and I'm a little worried about this with a Undisputed coming up. What's your view, Jamie?
I did find it a bit odd and a little bit alarming, actually. Our good, our good mutual mate Ian, who watches a podcast, going to give him another shout out. He gets
Hey,
loads, doesn't
Ian.
he? But he directed us to this piece of news, and I did think, it's a bit alarming coming up to possibly what I think should be his last fight. But what I did note was, he was he was praising Usyk basically and saying thank you for the chance of, having being with a double undisputed champion. We've been great together, but it is a bit strange, like because they were almost like brothers, weren't they? So it has left me sort of scratching my head and thinking, what's happened there? What's happened there? Hopefully, it's just a case of maybe Usyk just wants to maximise his share of the purse because he doesn't have to pay 10, 15% to somebody else. Hopefully, that's all it is. Krassyuk's just stepping away, and it's nothing more serious that will really jar him and make it a more difficult night for him because we all know how much I love Usyk. Hopefully, Igis Klimas hasn't stepped away as well and sort of left 2/3 of his team, um, abandoning him before the big show.
Yeah, I mean, I share your concern. I'll tell you what I'm worried about is coming into any fight, but particularly a major fight. I think it's important for the boxer to have as few distractions as possible. So it's almost like
Mm.
tunnel vision, designing that game plan, working to that game plan, monitoring your weight if weight's important, but no other distractions, whether that's family distractions or business distractions. And this must have been, even if it was super amicable, like they hugged each other and they thanked each other, it still would be a distraction. So I'm kind of nervous about it. I'm nervous about the fight anyhow, to be honest with you, mate.
Yeah, I am, unless. Well, I am and I'm not. I know that sounds a bit bizarre, really, but let's not forget the fight was stopped with a jab from Usyk, and a jab is the most basic of shots in terms of power, really, unless you're a Terence Crawford type who takes your head off with a jab. So, if he can utilize power shots, power punches, I think we're going to have the same outcome with Dubois. And I've seen training videos of Dubois earlier this week where he's looking very sort of to me, like he's got good form, hasn't he? He throws a nice sort of 1-2 and everything, but he's very, very. I don't know. All his punches seem to have a postage stamp on them, don't they? In comparison to Usyk, so I don't think we've got too much to worry about. We've just got to make sure that there's no stiffing on the cards, and I don't believe that will happen because this is a Ring Magazine promotion, isn't it, Bob? And I don't think Turkey would allow that on his watch. He's implemented sort of all right. AI judging isn't the be all and end all, and it's not actually having having a bearing on the fight, but it is showing to me an intent to want to do the right thing in terms of judging, and I don't think he'll allow controversy on his score. So
Well,
yeah, I'm not as worried as you.
I
Certainly
hope
not.
you're right. I hope that I'm just being a nervous Nelly. And to your point, and I think it's a really good point, Usyk was not screwed over on the cards when he fought Joshua, and he wasn't screwed over on the cards when he fought Fury, though I think the ref helped Fury in the first fight. He still, at the end of
Mm.
the piece, got a fair shake. So my fingers are firmly crossed because, as you know, I'm Team Usyk all the way, right? I really
Yeah, same
want
here.
Usyk to win.
Same here. I'm not a nationalist when it comes to boxing, um, because I just think with it being a one man sport, you know, you're in the ring at the end of the day as the one man. Um, I just go off the character of the one man. You know, team sports. I'll support England. I used to be a Chelsea fan, so don't scream at me, anyone in the comments. I don't really watch football anymore. Ironically, I think money's ruined the game, and Chelsea were the ones who started with all that, weren't they, back
The
in
Roman Abramovich?
2004?
Was it
Yeah,
Roman
Roman
Abramovich?
Abramovich.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go. So I know I'm veering off track a little bit there, but no, I'm certainly not sort of biased towards nationality. It's your character that shines through, and he's my favourite fighter of the last, say, 10, 15 years. I think he's phenomenal. So I am nervous. I'm nervous because I used to be nervous about Ricky Hatton fights. I don't want my favourite fighter to lose, but I just think he's phenomenal. He's sheer skill, his sheer character as well, because he's coming in and he's smaller than a lot of the people he's fighting. You know, it takes character to impose your will on a bigger man, particularly like Tyson Fury. I think you can't beat character like that. This is a man who's been on the front line. A boxing ring isn't going to be that scary to Alexander Usyk, and I think his character will certainly win the day.
I really hope so. The feeling I have now with Usyk being near the end of his career, it kind of gives me the same butterflies I had in the 1970s when Ali was past his best and Ali would be in a big fight and I'd be worried and nervous and, like,
Yeah.
and of course, eventually Father Time remains undefeated, right?
Yep. The only sort of comeback I've got to that, Bob, and I don't, you know, I know you're worried and you got your fears and stuff like that, but Ali, the back end of his career, was allowing people to just wail on him, you know, and
Yeah,
his main strategy was, I'm just going to let you tire yourself out. Usyk
yeah,
doesn't do that.
no.
You know, Usyk's got a lot less miles on the clock physically, so I think it'd be a bit tougher for him to get old overnight, really. And I do think if his legs did sort of tire, and he wasn't as mobile. I think he's got the minerals to stand there and fight as well. I think he's the full package. He might not have the punching power, but he'd certainly match him for speed, and he'd certainly match him for balls as well. So I don't think we've got anything to worry about. I really don't. I'd like this to be Dubois, well, not Dubois. I'd like this to be Usyk's last fight.
Me too.
And yeah, and we all know who I love, whose train I'm on to be the next heavyweight champion of the world proper, don't we?
Oh,
So that's
yeah,
when,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. We know you're fan. Um, Well, we share the same view on Usyk, and we really hope that nothing untoward has happened with him and Krassyuk. Um,
yeah.
you know, I was talking about nutty stuff going on in boxing, and this Deontay Wilder. I don't know what you call it. You call it a comeback. You call it a rebuild. I don't know what you call it, but he's fighting this week. In fact, this coming Friday. So by the
Mm.
time you and I talk next Sunday, it'll be all done and dusted. But assuming that Deontay Wilder can get through this guy on Friday, do you think that Deontay Wilder's only real option is then to get a fight with AJ? What's your thinking on this?
I do actually because Parker, he doesn't deserve a Parker rematch. It wasn't competitive enough. Um, Joshua's in a similar position to Deontay Wilder. He's very much in last chance saloon.
Yeah.
So, it is the real definition of a crossroads fight for the pair of them, isn't it? The only thing is that with them both having sort of dented careers and dented, just dented pride as well. Whoever wins, well, you've just beaten a dud version of the other one. So really, I think and I've made my position clear on Porky's corner. I've made my position clear with you that if a fight isn't worth having, if there's nothing real attached to it, I don't see the point in having it. So
Yeah.
I'm not really that interested in the Joshua fight. Deontay Wilder, really, if you are serious about your career, shoot for the stars. But I see a potential, and I've not seen the guy that he's going to be facing on Friday, so I'm not going to make a load of stuff up. But we've seen the Jermaine Franklins of the world come in and not they've not won, but they've certainly put a little bit of a banana skin in place, haven't they? So let's not write off the other fella that Deontay Wilder's fighting. And I sound a bit disrespectful because I've forgotten his name, Bob. Can you give me his name?
I think it's Harden. Is it
Is it?
Harden? I think so.
Right,
Not quite.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
Herndon.
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 Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
not hard on. That's another channel, that, Bob.
Herndon.
It's a
Hey.
family show.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Apologize to everybody there. I feel bad because the guy is obviously it's the biggest event of his life, and stepping in the ring with Deontay Wilder, a person that he was a fan of,
and
and
I've
I feel
disrespected
bad
him.
that
Yeah,
we weren't able to remember his name. That's sort of, but that says something. When AJ has his rebuilds, at least we have known the person that he is rebuilding against.
yep,
Whereas Deontay Wilder is quite literally, and no disrespect, I think this fight is in like Wichita, Kansas or something.
yeah.
Um, it really is a low level opponent.
To,
And
to be fair though, I think that's a better position for Wilder. Sorry to interrupt you there, Bob, but that's a
no
better
worries.
position because why would you want all the fanfare? If you're
Uh-huh.
serious about coming back and you want to do the job, the more if you go on a Las Vegas show, for example, say he was on the undercard of Canelo and Terence Crawford, where all eyes of the world are watching.
Mm,
You used to be a killer puncher. You're supposed to knock this guy out, make it snappy, make it entertaining. But his arse is going to go again. He'll lose his bottle. If he's tucked away on a little Wichita show that you said there, where we don't really know the opponent. I was a bit rude in not knowing the opponent. There's far less pressure for him. He's already yesterday's man, isn't he? Really, in the
yeah.
eyes of many. So anything that he can do, even if he wins on points, is a success because he's coming off a loss. So I think it's a bit of a, I don't know if it was intended like that. Well, it probably was, but a bit of a masterstroke by his team. I'm on the opposite side of the fence here, Bob.
Yeah, no, I see your point, and it is a good one. I suppose that Tyrrell Herndon could
Yeah, there you go.
allow. I don't mean that it's a. I'm not saying that he's gonna purposely allow, but I mean it could provide the opportunity for Deontay Wilder to once again crack the big right hand, and
Yeah.
then maybe he gets his confidence back because he split, I think, with Malik Scott, which is great news. Um,
Hmm.
and then if he gets his head straight, if he shoots straight for AJ, so that there's no possibility of a banana skin if he fights a more experienced, like if he fought like a Dave Allen, that
Mm.
could be a banana skin. But if he fights AJ, it draws, it neatly ends an era. So we could say, okay, there were three top guys: Fury, AJ, Wilder. It doesn't matter the combination. We now know Fury has fought Wilder, AJ fought Wilder. Now the only remaining combo is for AJ and Fury, which I don't think is going to happen.
Well, no, neither do I. But if AJ, bar Fury, and I think Fury's the reason why that hasn't happened. Like it's on Netflix as well. But AJ, in terms of his CV, he's fought everyone. He's shown that really he's not afraid of anyone. He's even fought Josie Parker and he beat him,
Yeah,
didn't he, in a unification fight? So It's interesting on that front, but again, I'm not. I'll say it again. I'm sorry for repeating myself. I'm not really interested in watching yesterday's men.
No, I
You
agree.
know,
I agree, and I think there will be a lot of people who would agree with you there. The only reason I want to see it is kind of like for neatness.
yeah, tied up.
It
Yeah, tie it up.
neatly ties off that knot. It's overdue, of course. Neither. I mean, it sounds funny to say this, and I'm sure that a lot of fans will think I'm talking out of my rear end. But I'm not sure which one of AJ and Wilder is the most shot. Like,
Mm.
they're shot in different ways, maybe, but I think that they're both very close to the end of their of their professional careers.
Yeah, I would say probably Joshua, just because Joshua had a higher sort of skill set,
Hmm.
a wider skill set at play. So he's had more to lose, hasn't he? Whereas Wilder's never really had that. If Wilder's got the right hand, that's all he ever had in the first place. So if he can win by knockout, I think it shows that AJ's more sharp because Wilder's still got his showpiece, the only punch that ever really mattered.
It could, I mean, it could end up to be very, very much like Wardley and Hooney. It could end up with AJ having the best of the flow of play, and then
Mm.
against the flow of play, a right hand. And I'm always concerned when AJ gets caught around the whiskers. He
Yeah.
doesn't not have the most solid of chins, does he?
No, well, let's use a more appropriate analogy then, really. Wilder and the Cuban.
Frank Sanchez,
No, not Frank Sanchez.
Luis
Oh, bloody
Ortiz,
hell.
Luis
Luis
Ortiz.
Ortiz, yeah. Yeah, Luis Ortiz. Remind me not to come on when I'm having a beer with you, Bob. I forget names. Yeah, with Luis Ortiz because he was outboxing him, wasn't he?
Yeah,
He
he
was
was.
outboxing him the whole way through and then bang.
Yeah,
But I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's lost that touch. And depending on who he's got in his corner, sort of training him, that'll be interesting when I properly look into it. He's lost the right hand for me. He's been impotent the last few fights, and without that, I don't think he's got anything left. As I say, if he can detonate it, I think he shows that he has more left than Joshua did
yeah.
in the last fight with Dubois. Because again, the one trick pony only had one trick, didn't he? So
I really hope we can get this resolved because, to be honest, I'd like to see these fights take place, and then I would like to see them move off the stage. So,
mm,
I don't want them like hanging around, like, I mean, with the greatest respect to Derek Chisora, he's hanging around now. I mean, there was talk of him fighting Parker. Well, we talked about this. It was a joke. And now it
yeah,
seems to be more serious. So I don't want to see people hanging around. For me, late 30s, early 40s, it really is time to call it a day in a sport where you're getting punched in the head.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, I've been very, very critical of Derek Chisora, but if people keep putting their hands in their pockets for him, he's going to keep doing it, isn't he? He
Yeah.
won't see the long term jeopardy. He'll just be sitting there thinking like, "Oh, this is how I feel now. I'm happy enough now. Let's just keep going." I don't think he's right. I'm like you. I just think he doesn't need to be on the stage anymore. Get him out, and the same with all the lads. I include Usyk in that
Yes,
um,
absolutely.
position as well because he's got nothing to prove. He doesn't even need to be fighting Dubois again. It
No,
wasn't competitive the first time, was it? So
no, it wasn't. Really, other than the low blow,
that wasn't. Yeah.
that wasn't, or was or wasn't. It does, other than that round, did Dubois win a single round? I don't think so.
No, no, he didn't.
And I'm not hating
So
on Dubois. I just don't think he did. Right? Like it was
no,
just
it's fact.
it was like a mismatch, really. Um,
Hmm.
Sticking with the heavyweights. I can't remember. Did we talk about it last week? The possibility of Dave Allen fighting TKB for the British Championship,
No, we didn't.
because
We didn't.
that seems to be talked about now with Adelaide moving up to fight Hergovich, which we did talk about. But
Yeah.
Dave Allen and TKB for the British title. What do you think?
Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, natural progression, isn't it, from that sort of, I mean, he's not boxed for an English title, as it well, he's not boxed for any title, is he? On the traditional ladder, Dave Allen. But if he's really making a go of it, you might as well fight for the British title. I think TKV would probably be able to beat Dave Allen. I think Dave Allen is very, very good at a certain level. TKV was more impressive than Adelaide before that fight was being stopped. And we know that Dave Allen, if he's not disciplined, which, you never know what you're going to get, the other guys quite can beat you quite handily. So, you know, I think that could potentially happen. Jamie Shakiva, he he's a very, very capable heavyweight at a certain level. So, and he will have a bit between his teeth as well because
Yeah,
he'll have wanted the rematch with Adelaide. He'll have been well up for that. So he'll be coming out there with something to prove. Dave Allen's already had his sort of another night in the sun, hasn't he? Beating Johnny Fisher.
yeah.
So, will he be as motivated for this fight? I don't know.
I suspect that Dave Allen would prefer, because he keeps on talking about it, a shot at Wilder, because of course he would have more money, I would think. Um,
Yeah,
and I mean, the irony is he might actually do better against Wilder than he would against TKB. But
yeah,
interesting. None of these fights have what's the right word? The paper hasn't been signed, I don't think. Um,
no, it's not materialised. No.
Talking about heavyweights where the paper had been signed and everything was continuing. The Huey Fury uh, charge for world title honors. He apparently wants to have a world title strap around his waist by this time next year, and he was due to fight, but now poor boy has bust his paw again. What's
Yeah.
happening in the UK with Huey Fury?
Well, I was wondering why the other week. I was wondering why you was covering Hughie Fury because he's much like not in the same level of ire as Conor Ben because I don't mind Hughie Fury, but I thought why's Bob covering him? But it's understandable now because obviously that fight hasn't. It's not going ahead. And it's just another one, isn't it? Like, why don't you just retire, lad? You know what I mean? It's not working for you, is it? I
Well,
think, you know, I, I think he was a potential. I use the word potential because I don't want to open us up for any sort of libel or, or slander, whatever. Potential drug cheat, a lot of acne on the back, and then so they were sort of highlighting it as illness. And then
no,
he's just not been very lucky, has he? So just
no.
retire, lad. You're not going to do anything.
Well, I covered him the other day because I feel a little bit remiss. When I think of heavyweights, obviously you have your elite level, and then I think of
Mm.
the sort of the next level. And of all the heavyweight names that usually pop into my head, the one name that's invariably not there is Huey Fury. It's like that there's these parallel universes where you've got all these people I know in my head, and then you've got Huey Fury. So I thought, Huey Fury, his dad, of course, high level trainer. Um,
Yeah, you see him online a lot as well, don't you?
yeah,
So he
yeah,
is in the
exactly,
conscious
yeah.
list. Yeah.
And he'd said that he's making this run for a heavyweight strap, and I'm thinking, I'm not seeing it, especially, I mean, I can't remember who his future opponent was supposed to be, but it was another low level opponent. So now to pull out of that, I'll tell you what I think, Jamie, and you let me know if I'm
Go
if
on.
I'm full of it here.
No, go on.
I don't think that Huey Fury wants to be a boxer. I think that he and his dad are essentially holding on in case there's a big payday.
I would be very inclined to agree with you. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
he
funny thing.
doesn't.
It just
He,
Huey just doesn't seem to want it.
no, he's not a big talker either, is he? You know, he'll never sort of come out and make protestations about, oh yeah, oh, I've come out of this fight. I'm looking forward to getting back on track and you know, proving me minerals. He's always got his dad talking for him, like a front
Yes.
man. And sometimes, like I know we're not a big lover of people that mouth off, but sometimes, you know, if your career's got no momentum, at least show a bit of passion and say something. Huey doesn't really want to do that, so I'm inclined to agree with you there. Like, there doesn't appear to be any passion, so just hang him up. You're obviously quite a sickly individual because he's never in the bloody boxing ring, is he? He might spar and all that, but one minute he's got acne, which I found questionable. One minute, you know, I think he's broken his hand before as well. Um, I think he might have had elbow surgery. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's just like you're not cut out for him, mate. Your body's made of biscuit, so you know. And if you go to an extremely high level, you know, the biscuit's going to melt in the rich tea of the top echelons of the heavyweight division. So just call it a day.
Yeah, it seems it doesn't. I'm not seeing a path for him, and I'm not sure if boxing politics has been around since as long as boxing's been around. I'm not
Yeah,
sure if Peter Fury sometimes seems to get frozen out as well. He doesn't seem to be able to get the big fights sometimes. I'm not
I
sure. That's
think.
just my view from an ocean and a continent away.
Well, I'll put a little bit of a theory on that. Basically, you know, it's a big open sort of secret that he's fallen out with John.
Yeah,
Again, I don't know the particulars of that, but he's fallen out with John Fury. I don't know the reasons, so I'm not going to proclaim that I know the reasons, but I'm very aware of that fallout. Now, John, up until recently with Tyson, was controlling the heavyweight division. Now, if you've fallen out with somebody, you're not going to, and you're in control of some facet of the same employment arena, you're not going to allow for that person to have opportunities, are you? So, yeah, I do believe he's been frozen out, and I think it's because his brother was not in charge, but his brother had the mouthpiece and the ear of some of the most powerful people in the sport, if not the most powerful person in the sport. It's Al Sheikh. So he was never going to be looked upon favourably, was he, Huey? Because you know the main man, the main Fury at the top, held all the
yeah.
cards. Well, that's just my theory.
It's not a bad theory. I think it's easy to forget that that during the time that Fury held a strap, the heavyweight division almost revolved around him, didn't it?
Hmm.
And and Frank Warren, of course. I mean, Frank Warren actually has effectively controlled the heavyweight division now. I mean, I think it's really only Usyk, not only
Hmm.
Usyk. I mean, there's Usyk, there's Kabayel, there's a few others, but
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
but but but
Of course.
most of the heavyweights are under Frank Warren's stable, and now he's
But you know, he's got the present potentially, given you know, depending on what happens in a month, and he's also got the future. So yeah, he's got a stranglehold on the division, hasn't he?
he really has, and I mean, credit to him, right? Like he has done well.
He's
Um,
resilient.
he certainly is. It looks like we're running out of our allotted time. I know we've both got a busy, well, in your case, busy evening. In my case, a busy day ahead of me. So
Yeah,
we should probably wrap this up. As always, I thank you very much for your time coming on and sharing your thoughts with us, with people who are
lovely
watching.
as always, Bob. Lovely, lovely, and you know, if I just want to say as well, I've seen some of the comments from our video last week. I just want to. There's a lot of people out there, and I'll address this to everybody, Bob, if you don't mind, just because it gets mentioned a lot in the comments, and I did put a response to Conor Moss, I think he's called, about people saying, "Oh, Jamie, you should start your own channel." I'm quite a. I say this as I'm sitting here drinking lager at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm quite a busy. I'm quite a busy bloke. Like
Yeah,
I'm a full-time dad and I've got a full-time job and all that. So I won't be starting my own channel in the future. But as I said to Connor, um, I just want to say our little collaborations, they've become like a really important part of my life, Bob, and you've said the same sort of thing to me, haven't you? So I'm
absolutely.
absolutely loving the fact, yeah, I'm absolutely loving the fact that we can, you know, this little fat bloke from Salford with a funny Essex accent has been able to provide a bit of joy to people, and that you want to hear my views as much as you do. So I really, really appreciate everything you're saying. I'm not going to disappear anywhere. I'm going to carry on doing the collabs with Bob. And I just want to say thank you for all the shout outs and for Bob giving me the platform. And in the past when I've been on Porkies and other places I've been, thank you.
Well,
Bit weird, but
it's
oh
great.
well.
Well, it's certainly great to have you, and you do always get lots of very, very complimentary comments, and I fully endorse them. So I, we'll keep up the good work.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Um,
Take
oh,
care, Bob.
well, you take care, mate. Folks, thanks very much for watching, as always. Tuning in to Bob and Jamie Talk Boxing. If you like this video, please like, please share, please subscribe, and also please subscribe to Andy's Cavern. Andy is our mate, and we're fully supporting his channel as well. So thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. We'll see you on the next video. Bye bye
Bye,
now.
everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Cheers.